Welcome back to this last video on Introduction to First Principles. In the last couple of videos, we've looked at using some simple types of equations with differentiation. We're looking at a little bit more of a complex one which revolves about fractions. Now, for you to be successful with these fraction questions, you're going to have to remember how to actually use fractions in terms of being able to add fractions with different denominators and solving those kind of fractions. Those kind of skills are key for solving these types of questions. It's going to look a little bit messy, but I'm going to guide you through and explain to you why we're doing each one, so hopefully by the end of this example, you have a good understanding of what's working. Okay, so we've got a function where we've got 1 on x. Well, the same process works from when we did it the last time. We're just going to rewrite this as 1 over x plus h, replacing the x with x plus h, minus 1 over x. All over, and let's rewrite that again, so I don't forget my function, is equal to the limit as h approaches 0. So 1 over x plus h minus 1 over x all over h. So it looks very messy, but if we forget about this h here right now, just this point, I can't subtract anything in my numerator yet because I have different denominators. So if we want to make sure that we can subtract into different denominators, we have to find that common denominator down the bottom. So in this case, the only thing that's common is if I multiply these two together. So if I do x plus h multiplied by x, I can actually cancel these two out. However, because this here is only one part of the fraction, remember when you do sum into a fraction, what you do to the top, you must also do to the bottom. So this is where it's a bit confusing, where people will go, well, wouldn't you just do that in the top part because that's a fraction? Yes, you would. However, this here is the fraction in a already established fraction. So we need to get rid of the denominator in this top part of the entire fraction before we can go any further. And what we're doing here is we're just changing this numerator so it doesn't have a fraction form anymore. So in this case, we get x plus h times x plus h will cancel out. If we rewrite this here, we get x minus this x times this will cancel out, but therefore I've then got x plus h times 1. So x plus h. Over the top of, now because I'm multiplying these across here, I can rewrite this here as xh, x plus h. So this here is where it gets that little bit tricky. Remember the key to this part is this here. I'm multiplying these numerators by the denominator of the fraction of the numerator to be able to cancel down these ones. But what I do to the top of it, I must do to the bottom. And that's really important, otherwise you're going to get stuck. And now it's just a matter of doing what we did in the previous videos. Let's expand the brackets. So we get limit as h approaches 0, x minus x minus h all over. I'm not going to expand this part here. hx x plus h. I'm only worrying about the top part at this point. And the reason why is because if I expand this down here, it's going to cause me some troubles later on. Well, I now know that I can actually cancel down here. So I can get negative h over hx x plus h. So I've now got a point where I can actually cancel down my h's. There's no use factorising, because if I factorise out, I could factorise. I get h out the front and then negative 1 here. So for instance, this here is the same as writing h negative 1 over h x x plus h. And that would allow me then to cancel down these h's. Well, this then leaves me with a value where we can write this. as h now approaches 0. Well, if I make this 0, that no longer exists. Alright, so I'm not expanding, I'm just saying this here is 0, it doesn't exist anymore. So therefore, I can write down here that the derivative of this function is now going to be negative 1 over x times x, which is x squared. So our final answer, and we can rewrite this, is negative 1 on x squared. So this one here is the more complex version of the first principle questions. We've looked at the simple one, looked at more detailed second one, but this one here is a more complicated one for the reasons that we've got to remember with our fractions. All right, good luck with all your work.